Hello everyone, welcome to another live hangout. I think I've got all the technical stuff covered today. We are streaming live here to YouTube, and of course if you're watching on Facebook, hello. If you are watching this as a replay, welcome. As I know many of you watch this in replay. Hey look, if you missed last week's show and watching the replay, guess what? That's because it didn't happen. The show fell over technically, and look, hands up. I think it was probably me, to be honest. I think I got a setting wrong. I apologise for that. The technical side of this, it's a massive learning curve, and it constantly changes. And with the change of now streaming to both live to YouTube, as you are watching, for many of you are watching, as you can see in the live chat, many of you are watching it in YouTube. Some of you may currently be watching it in Facebook live, and so because I'm streaming to two different places live, the technical side is a lot more challenging. But I think we've got it right today. Hopefully you can see it all and it's all working, and yeehaw, here we go. It has been a big couple of weeks. We've had the launch of Voice Essentials 2. If you've got the CD, it's not a CD anymore. I keep calling it a CD, but that is so, 2001, because we now only have them as downloadable tracks on the MP3. If you haven't got it already, you kind of did miss the $5 discount that you could have got. However, if you buy it as a bundle on the website, you can get $10 off and get Voice Essentials 1 and Voice Essentials 2, 35 exercise tracks that I know you're going to enjoy working with. Hey, if you do already have Voice Essentials 2 or 1 and you downloaded them from the website, djarts.com.au, links below, please, I would love for you to leave a review. Let other people know what value, hopefully if any, that you've got out of the tracks, because that just helps people know that this is legitimate and it is helping people. And as so many of you people, so many people send me emails and thank yous, and which is wonderful. And I always encourage you to leave a review on the website, which you can do just by, if you jump onto the Voice Essentials page, just scroll down, and there's a tab that says reviews. You can leave a review there. I would love for you to do that. It would be really helpful to me and to others. The other thing I want to quickly tell you about, because we've got a special guest. We were supposed to have him last week, and I had him because I was able to see him, but none of you could because of the technical issues. He has been so gracious and very patient, and so he's joining us again today. Daniel Formica, we're going to talk to him in a moment. Before we do, what I want to just quickly bring to all of your attention, let me just jump in here and this is where do I want to go? I want to go here. I want to draw your attention to the Facebook Voice Essentials community page. This is a fabulous place, and over the last couple of 3 or 4 weeks, I think we've had it up and running. We've got nearly 226 members already. People that are able to share their videos of them singing, get feedback. People are able to give feedback to other people's videos. And it has been so much fun. There I am introducing the whole thing. Joe, he's a regular. He's been contributing. There's a new person's just put up a video, which is cool. And Joy shared a really funny video this morning, I should say. So we're just having a bit of fun, and really in a really supportive and encouraging environment. And as I said earlier, you can all the way down here. I shared one of my performance videos. You can jump on there and have a look. And there we are. This actually shows that we are currently live on Facebook, so that's a good thing. Kev is watching us on Facebook, which is good, and hopefully that's all making a bit of sense. We better hop out of there so that we don't, break the internet through doubling up or something. So look, if you would love to, join a really interactive space, then I would love for you to join the Facebook community page. community group. It's open to join. You do have to sort of make a request. All the links are in the description section below, and we would love for you to come over and join the group, because people are getting really good feedback about their performances. They're starting discussion topics. It's just a really awesome opportunity for us to continue to cultivate and develop this community we have here at Voice Essentials. And as I said, let's go back to here. As I said, part of building our community here is we do these live hangouts every Monday at 2 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time, and we've had so many good guests over the past number of months, and today's going to be no different. I know you're going to really enjoy the conversation I'm about to have with Daniel Formica. I believe he's from LA. I want to say LA. He'll correct me in a moment if I've got that wrong. I hope I haven't got it wrong. But look, I hope you'll stick around and join in the conversation. Don't forget, we will answer your questions at the end of the show. So make sure that you ask your questions, put them into the chat section if you're watching live. If you're watching it as a replay, leave your questions in the comment section below, and we'll be certainly very happy, where possible, to answer your questions to the best of our ability. I look forward to seeing you in a moment. That didn't quite go to plan, but anyway, more technical difficulties, which is not a bad thing. We get to go straight into having a good conversation. G'day, Daniel. How you doing?
Good.
Can I just say, I am very jealous of your domain, yourvocalteacher.com. That is a great domain name.
It happened literally. I just didn't, like, I had Daniel Formica Vocal Studio.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like a thing of, and then one day I wonder if this is taken. Like, I put in a bunch of them. Like, is this taken? You're a voice coach. You're a voice teacher. And I put that in, it wasn't taken. I'm like, how can that not be taken? I just grabbed it.
Yeah, it's a good one.
I got lucky.
Hey, listen, tell us a bit more about yourself and what you've done as a career and how you got into this singing teaching thing.
Yeah. So so I'm from Connecticut originally. So you were saying where I was from. So yeah, I'm from Connecticut originally, born and raised there. And then I was a guitar player when I was around 14. I started playing guitar, and then I got in a touring band when I was about 17. And we toured all up and down the East Coast, from Connecticut to like DC and Philly and Boston, New York, and all around that area. And then the singer quit and moved to LA with the bass player. They moved. The band we didn't break up, so we got a couple new guys. And then we moved to LA, and then we found a new singer. He was a great singer, and we had a band there for like 5-6 years, which was really fun, all original, and it was really a lot of fun. And that singer was really good. He was like straight out of the church from South Central, really good singer. And I always knew I wanted to sing, but I was always like, I better just get the guitar, because every time I sang, I didn't feel comfortable. I felt weird about it, so I didn't do it. And but then that band broke up. I was probably around 24, 25. Mm-hmm. And then I decided at that point, because I was like, where am I going to get it? It took us so long to find that singer. I was like, where am I going to find another singer that good? So I didn't want to go through it again. And we had kind of started this, me and the drummer and the bass player had been together for many years. So I was like, I think it's time to just do something new. And I took one lesson, vocal lesson, from a lady named Gloria Rush, who used to teach out of Los Angeles. And she was a jazz singer. And she was really good. And she just gave me a couple exercises to kind of help me through my way. I chose her because a band called After Seven, which was an R&B group, they were kind of like Boys to Men. You know, they were kind of popular back then. Those guys went to her, and then I heard that the singer from Mr. Big had went to her, and the whole band had went to her, and I was like, oh, that's kind of the style, the R&B and rock blues I want to go towards. So I went to her, and then I moved back to Connecticut, and I just went into a basement and said, I'm going to learn to sing like the same way I play guitar. I said, I'm just going to sing like 20 songs, and then I'm going to go play them acoustic live. And I just went out and did that. And then and they were all very easy. It was very, well, not all easy, but it was like Otis Redding tunes and Sam Cooke tunes and things like that. And then I put a little trio together. I just started playing a little bar, and then my buddy was like, I'll play drums. And this other kid I knew, I could play keyboards. I was like, all right. So we had this little trio going called Toe Jam. And we did that for
Toe Jam, that's good.
yeah, we did it for a couple of years. It started like, around that area, Vermont, Connecticut, Boston. We started picking up gigs. I was making a living singing. I never made a living playing music before because it's original. So you're just, doing it for record labels and that kind of thing. And
Yeah.
I was like, started making a living. I was working at a music store. And while I was at the music store, a kid came in with the Village Voice from New York and said, hey, remember that band, the Boogie Nights from Los Angeles? I said, yeah, I used to go see them at the disco. They wear the afros and do the whole show. And I was like, yeah. He goes, they're auditioning for a band in New York. And I said, wow, that's a way to make some real money. Like I knew they made real good money. So I got a hold of a guitar player that I knew that was really good in the old school James Brown funk kind of way. And I said, we're going to go get this gig. Let's go to this audition. Called and went for the audition and then went for a head cutters and got in the first group. And we did like 3 days of rehearsal and then and my whole changed. It was like playing, 4 nights a week, 3-4 sets a night, all 70s disco from Donna Summer to KC to Diana Ross to all that stuff. And it was great. It was really good. Did that for about 4 years. And then I moved to Atlanta to put a band together there for that company. And I've been working for that company for 25 years. They're called Perfect World Entertainment. I still work for them. And did that in Atlanta. About a year later, I moved back up. And then I moved to Chicago and did a band called the Aphrodisiacs there, which was the same company. And then got back out to LA after that. About 2 years later, I moved back out to LA and then we have bands there. So I've just been doing that. And I got involved in wedding and corporate bands. And each time I moved, I took from a new teacher because I was always blowing out my voice. I didn't really know what I was doing. I had my lesson tape from Gloria, and then someone gave me the Seth Riggs first Singing for the Stars tapes, the cassette tapes. So I took all that and I just do that all day as my voice was blown out, and I would do it all day long, and then I would go to the gig and I'd make it through the gig and start over the next day. And I'd blow my voice out a lot, so I had a sub when I lived in Connecticut. But when I got to LA, I took from Seth a lot. Whenever I could, afford Seth, I would take, lessons from Seth. And I took from Ron Anderson. I mean, everybody, Nate Lamb, Dave Stroud, so many different teachers. In Chicago, I took from people. And then that was pretty much it. Like that kind of led me to that. And then I met my wife at a gig, and then I moved from LA to where we live now, which is about 4 hours north of Los Angeles on the coast, called San Luis Obispo. It's beautiful.
Okay.
And just started to teach when we moved here about 8 years ago. I'm going to start teaching because my friends were asking me, hey man, what do you do to keep your voice? And I did that. But then as I got older, I'm going to be 50 this next year coming up. And I started to blow my voice out a bunch. Not blow my voice out, but I wasn't gigging as much, but my voice was getting weaker. And I couldn't understand why. I was like, okay, I have more time to practice. I'm not gigging half as much. But my voice was getting weak. I was getting a hole in it. And I could not understand why. And then I found a coach named Alex Kariotis who helped me understand. He was a really good opera singer and pretty good rock singer as well. And he helped me a lot. And then I went to Spain and studied with an opera singer over there. I really got into opera and started studying with a couple of different opera coaches. And when I went to Spain, that kind of opened up the floodgates and everything I was like, oh, I've been doing a lot of stuff wrong. But being younger and testosterone and guts, that's what I sang on. It was like, that's what you sing on. And even though I was doing the exercises, I know now, I was like, oh, I just didn't have the right function underneath. Once I found that function, the floodgates opened and my voice I'm not scared to sing anything anymore. Like I'm super excited, last bunch of years, like I'm really excited about teaching. I don't hesitate anymore, so that's pretty much been the journey right there.
So many of the people I've had on the channel, and this is part of the reason why I wanted to get you on, because many of the people that I've had on the channel as guests have come through the process of their development as teachers, specifically, through the more formal, I guess, development of going to university, doing a pedagogy course. They themselves will have been performers, professionally, some of them semi-professionally. And my journey has been, I gigged for 10 months living out of a suitcase, first year out of high school when I was 18. Quickly found out I knew nothing about what I was doing. went to university, was gigging at the same time, and so my journey's been very formalized in some respects. Yours has been
Right.
a bit different to that, hasn't it? You've kind of traveled that informal route.
I would say yes, because I don't think I've ever could get into university. I don't think I'd had the brains for it. I don't think I could have got in. Like I really don't. You know what I mean? It just wouldn't. I would have been too shy probably to audition, and I wouldn't have had the brains to take the regular curriculum. You know, English, math, and all that. I wasn't very studious.
Sure.
You know what I mean? So
Well, there might be a slight misconception of what's expected once you're in university.
maybe, yeah, I don't
You
know.
know,
I have no idea about it. Like it's funny, like college. I mean, I bought every book I could buy. I probably
Yeah.
have every pedagogy book you could think of, from Bernard to, to Miller to, whatever. I got them all.
And so I think a lot of people who are watching today will be really relating to your journey, because a lot of people that are watching are passionate about their voice. They're eager to learn. They want to get the most out of their instrument, but they're not going to university. They're not looking to go to university, to do a formalized course, and so they go in search of trusted voices. Some of them find that Voice Essentials has been very helpful to them, and they go looking to take a not dissimilar pathway to you, that informal development of their voice. What would you want to say to people, having travelled that informal route, not only as a singer but as a teacher? What have you found to be the most important part as you reflect on your journey to date? Because we're all sort of mid-journey, aren't we? What have you found to be really important in that journey for you?
That's such a great question, because I'm going to be honest. Like for so many years, I never took vacations. I mean, luckily I was in bands that traveled all over the world, which was so cool. I got to always do gigs in Mexico and in Europe and Hawaii and Guam. I always get to go to these cool places to do these gigs, and it was fun. When it comes down to the journey of finding technique and finding what works, I kept doing the same thing. What's the definition of insanity? Do the same thing over and over again, expecting a different outcome. And that's what I was doing. I wasn't smart enough to realize, like, dude, you're doing the exercises, whatever it may be, and your mom's good, nay, lee, whatever it is, the exercise. I kept doing them the same way, and it wasn't until I just said, I'm going to say it. I did this thing called fake opera man voice. That's what I would call it. And when I would show each of those teachers that as a joke, they would always, for a split second, they would go, and I should have noticed this 25 years ago, they would go, "What are you doing there? That's really good." And I'll be like, "Oh, well, I call it my fake opera man voice." And it's kind of like a little bit of a squeeze, It's like, "Oh, don't do that. Don't do that." So I just figured, I'll be able to get that sound without doing that. Yes, you'll find it another way. Little did I know, no, I just had to habitually go there and work that out, and pound that into the way I sang. So it almost became a character voice. Mm-hmm. But then from the character voice, it got strong enough and turned over into my singing voice. And had I been in tune with that 25 years ago, I wouldn't have had to go through the journey that I went through. And that's something that really bothers me, because, again, I was always like sweating at home, like practicing, reading books, and I got to get better. I can't go on vacation, honey. No, I'm sorry. I got to figure this out. So I never had a day off. I never had days off. I really didn't. Like I could say that, and honestly, I never had days off. And now I actually can take a vacation and feel fine and go, yeah, I've done it now a couple of times, and I go, oh my God, I come back, my voice is boom, it's right there. So and it's not the way I used to sing. So if you're doing things for a year with a teacher or 6 months with a teacher, and you're only seeing subtle changes in your singing because you're listening to music a lot and singing along with your favorite artist, but the underlying technique doesn't feel secure, It should feel very secure. And if it doesn't feel secure, switch your mindset, turn it around, do something totally different and see what happens. And then I believe you'll find what I consider is the underlying function of the voice. And of course, you know when you don't see you want to buy a car and you're looking on the road to find that car and you never see the car, like you're like, how come I can't see the Prius anywhere? I want a Prius. Then you buy the Prius and you see a Prius everywhere.
Yeah.
As soon as I switched up this technique, all of a sudden it was coming from everywhere. All these teachers that I would follow, famous opera singers, talking about their technique, explaining how they're doing it, were saying it exactly how I was feeling it. And I had never seen this before. I wasn't in tune with it because I watched every video. I watched, you know what I mean? It was very strange, but I'm super happy I found it. I wish I found it before I was 50. So, I wouldn't have been so shy to get gigs, I would have went out stronger for more, had a more positive view of myself,
Mm-hmm.
So if you don't feel secure, then it's not the teacher's fault. It's not the teacher's fault. Because I fooled all the teachers. They're all, that's great. Seth, you're great. I want to put you on American Idol. I'm like, no, I don't want to go on American Idol. I'm like, no, I'm not. I don't want to do that. He would say that to me. And I'm like, no, I don't want to do that. And now, I can look back and go, God, I want to do that. Now I wish could do it now, but I don't want to do it now. I'm too old.
I want to get into, because you'd be just a little bit back. You used the word squeeze, and you've sent me a whole heap of things that you thought we might be able to talk about today. And one of the points you made was bad words like squeeze. You've actually written this down. Bad words like squeeze, etc., are sometimes good words. Yes. I think I did a little video pit stop about 6-8 weeks ago where I talked about the confusion of vocal pedagogy terminology. There's so much confusion about, and the fact that language is such a loaded tool, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I've got a couple of South Korean students that have actually flown in from South Korea to learn voice with me for the next 2 months.
Nice.
That's the first time that's ever happened. I have people who fly in from within Australia, but to have 2 people come in from overseas has been quite, okay.
Yeah.
But, the challenge that we're having straight up is language. It's the language barrier. And one of the challenges that I see singing students of the English spoken language, it's learning the terminology. Once you start to learn the terminology, it empowers you to learn. It empowers you to move through that learning journey. But certain words, like squeeze, do tend to catch people, don't they? What's your thoughts on that?
It's funny because if you look at on a pedagogy side of it, and you know what the certain muscles do, the LCA and the interrhythmoids, what do? They squeeze, they pinch, right? And that's what brings the chords together. And so you think about these things and go, so why, if I wasn't good at it, if it was in the beginning of it, it might feel a little pinched. It might feel, as Seth used to say all the time, and I used to think I would do it right. He would say, Daniel, you have to press into the hoot. He would always say, press into the hoot. And I thought I was doing it, and I could kind of, because I was a decent singer, because I sang so much, meaning songs, I could fool him into the sounding like Michael McDonald say, and pressing into that hoot. But it really wasn't the right place.
Okay.
When I found the right place, lights went off, and I went, bing, there it is. Yeah, and so
So do you think then that actually one of the challenges, I'm speaking at the national, we've got here in Australia, we've got a group called ANATS, the Australian National Association for Teachers of Singing, and in the US it's called NATS, the National Association. We've got our national Australian conference coming up in about 3 weeks. And I'll be presenting 4 times. One of those, I've been asked to be on a panel. And we're going to be talking about belt. So
Okay.
if there were ever a term that has multiple meanings to multiple people, I actually, when I was first asked to do it, I actually said, look, can I come back to you and let you know whether I will or won't? Because I kind of feel like I'm being dropped into a den of vipers, because it's such the term is so preloaded with people's pre-developed conceptions of what that word means.
Yeah.
And I really feel like we do use terminology as power, don't we? We use it to lord it over people who are not in the know of the certain term. And and so when in your studio, when we use the word squeeze, that might be actually a very powerful, positive term. And yet, in my studio, in fact, the word squeeze is a bit innate in my studio. We don't use it at all, but not as a positive or negative. It's just not used. But let's say in my studio, that might be a negatively loaded term. So in fact, it's not the word itself, is it? It's the loading of the word.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts?
Well, it's kind of like, why I decided not to be afraid of the word.
Yeah.
The reason I didn't want to be afraid of the word is because in this book, it is one of my favorites, toilet reading. You're sitting on the toilet, you're reading a book. So in this one, Great Singers on Great Singing, read the interview with Pavarotti, and he is not afraid to use the word squeeze. He uses it 3 or 4 times, as in squeezed or pressed 3 or 4 times. It says, you can think it's going to work another way, but you'll never have security of the voice unless you go down that path. And he keeps on saying that and saying it and saying it and saying it. So that's why I adopted, then I'm not going to, if that guy can say it, I'm not going to be afraid to say it.
Sure.
Right? He's like, as known, he was known for his technical genius, how good he was. He was very technical.
And so does that suggest that word squeeze or push got reloaded for you? It got redefined?
Yeah, because for years, every teacher I did it, would mention that word.
Yeah, okay.
And I would say, it kind of feels like a little pinch. Like it's, oh, don't do that. Oh, don't do that. And I go, okay, you're the teacher. I'm the student. I won't do that. So not doing that for 25 years, I started to get a hole in my voice.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was like in tears. Didn't know what I was going to do, because here I was, and I wanted to keep singing for my careers. I made a good living at it, but I saw my voice deteriorating, and I'm like, God, I'm not a yeller. I'm not someone that yells all the time. When I would on acoustic gigs, I could sing very quietly, and I always prided myself on that. But now I see what I was missing.
So let's talk about that, right? So you've got this scenario where a singer is, because we're all students, right? At the end of the day, good teachers are good students.
Absolutely.
So we've got a singer, and they're wanting to take on board some of what you're saying, and they're talking about the idea of, okay, well, maybe I can squeeze, maybe I can push. Is there a limit to what you would allow that singer to do?
Absolutely.
Okay. Talk us through that.
There's what I would consider it to me. If students come to me and they're asking me, what is singing to you? What is singing to you? Besides the learning, just listening to music and singing along, whether you sing in falsetto, sing along with your favorite artist all day long. I mean, just keep doing it. You're going to get better. You're going to be able to pronounce words better and faster, and everything's going to get better. But when it comes to what they go, well, what's technique to you? I go, oh, it's very simple. It's air to squeeze ratio. If you've got too much squeeze, you're going to be squeezed out, and it's going to sound pressed, and it's going to sound funny. It's going to sound funky. And then if you have not enough squeeze, it's going to sound airy, and it's going to sound actually reached. If you're reaching for something. So there's a balance, and if you find the balance, you're good to go. Then the voice can just go all the way to whistle voice. every day, no problem. There's nothing in the middle. There's nothing blocking that.
So I'm hearing, so for example, and this is just harkening back onto our previous point. So for you, the words like reach and did you say?
Reach. I don't like the sound of reaching. You know when someone sounds like they're reaching, so they're not on top of the note. They're not sitting on the note.
Yeah.
With the way that I teach and the way that I the technique.
Yeah.
You on that note, and that note's not going anywhere. You could punch in the stomach, and it's not going anywhere.
Sure.
It's solid. It's loud. It's beautiful. It's got a nice tone to it.
Yeah.
So that is what I'm going for. But if you get squeezed out, then it's too squeezed, and then you hear that.
So it's all about you're advocating. So you're advocating for what I talk about is ensuring balance of breath to muscle, and making
absolutely.
And I think this is the thing is that for the people who are on YouTube, now I'm talking about YouTube creators, singing teachers, the people who I listen to, who I personally think actually know what they're talking about, because there's many that, in my humble opinion, don't. But the ones that do aren't all saying the same thing the same way, but ultimately they're saying the same thing.
Absolutely, because to me, technique is technique, and that's why I say it's not really the teacher's fault. The teacher may know exactly what he wants from you. They may know exactly what they're waiting to hear, or you know what I mean. It may not be their fault, but I agree with you totally there. Everyone's got their own lingo for it.
It's the lingo, isn't it? It's the terminology.
I think terminology and singing go together. So
absolutely.
I look at intelligence being the technique, intellectual being, well, I don't really have the technique, so I'm going to throw a bunch of big words at you.
Yeah.
And you're going to think I know, so you're going to come to me because I'm throwing all these big words at you to make you think I know what I'm talking about. Well, then just sing. It should prove itself. The technique should work for you as well as it does for anybody else.
And look, I can look back on my first years out of teaching when I first did my pedagogy course at university, and I first came out, essentially a new teacher, you hide behind big words. Listen to all these big, you fly off all these big words that confound the innocent poor student, and it's a bit of a smoke screen, isn't it? It's a little bit of an ink blow, like from a squid, to sort of confound the wise.
The good teachers I went to,
but here's the deal:
they never said anything besides sing the vowel, and they would say support the tone, which could be just a function. They said just sing the vowel; it will take you to the register, and then you'll be in the right place. You're good. They would never talk about all the muscles and all these things. They never got into that.
Now, I would venture the thought that because you and I are in complete agreement on this. Not necessarily. I don't know whether we're in agreement with what I'm about to say, but we're in agreement thus far.
Yeah, absolutely.
What I think though is that we do get into. So you're obviously a very intuitive singer and a passionate. You've got a passion to really develop. I think it has to be acknowledged that not everyone is a naturally intuitive singer. That doesn't mean they're not passionate about their singing. It just means that for some it doesn't come as easily as perhaps it will for those who are naturally intuitive with their singing.
Right.
For those who aren't and have to be guided, in a manner, I do think, because we're distilling everything down to sort of say it's simple. It's not rocket science. And that is true. On one level, it isn't rocket science. Absolutely. But in my teaching experience of I think I'm in 22nd year this year, I think it behoves a good teacher to be able to take on the technical prowess, to be able to undo and unlock things that don't simply come from find the vowel and it'll all become good. Do you know what I mean? And
Yeah, absolutely.
and that's where it does get technical. Hey.
Yeah, because that's where I was at for all those years. I was singing the vowel, but I didn't have the underlying function that should have been there.
Yeah.
And once I found that, I was able to become such a better teacher because I could hear.
Yeah.
I could hear intuit. I could now hear if someone was doing it the way I used to do it because I did it that way for so long, or they were actually doing it the way it should be done. And I go, listen, you're not going to like the way it feels at first.
Yeah.
It's to me, I always kind of say this is another thing I'll say. After for tenors, for most singers, baritone tenors, doesn't really matter. Sopranos singing rock and pop, it's all pretty much the same to me. And I say, listen, after around D4, right above the middle C, a little, maybe some can sing higher, and then but you're going to have to switch into a new voice, and then you've got to get comfortable with that application. And that's another thing. Like, for instance, like a Seth would say to me, and I took from years ago, but I have all my old lessons on tape, and I listen back and I go, God, why didn't I listen? Like, why didn't I hear it then? Because he would always say, well, Dan, you've got it on the exercise right there, but the application is going to be very hard because you're used to singing it another way.
Yeah.
Or he would hear me sing certain things and falsetto stuff, like if we were doing like head voice exercises, he'd go, gee, Dan, I can't tell if you're in quote, quote, falsetto or adducted head voice.
Yeah, okay.
Falsetto, you have facility for the two, and now I get it.
Yes.
Then I did not get it. I just wanted to sing through my gigs easy and make my money.
And it's interesting because Seth, I mean, I've heard it said many times by a number of people who have had, that direct contact with Seth Riggs, who have really claimed very strongly that he was an amazing technician and with an amazing ear. What I think is interesting is the new work being done around resonance and the effect of resonance upon the vocal folds and registration that I think adds into our understanding around registration and those sorts of things. And it's because there have been people over my years of teaching who I know that together, myself with the student, we've hit a boundary that we have not been able to move past in their application. They can lip bubble until the cows come home, but the voice when it came to application wouldn't move beyond, wouldn't apply what it could do in a wonderful lip bubble. And I think the new understandings that ones like Ken Bozeman, Ian Howe, and there's a couple of others who are doing, there's some really wonderful work. And, I'm only just dipping my toe into the water in this stuff because it's so new. Not to these guys. These guys have been doing it for years. But anyway, I think it's exciting, and I think it will help ones like yourself and myself to help students, help singers in the application.
Yeah, something that helped me actually was the Burton Coffin stuff because I had never heard of him. Like I said, all these books, and I had all the books, and I had done a lot of research. And then when I found out about Burton Coffin, I was like, oh, this is a whole new level. And he's one of the godfathers of that whole idea of the resonance and the vowel and all of that. And that opened up, once I had, to me, the function underneath correct, then all that started to make huge sense. So I follow a lot of his exercises because now that makes a lot of sense for me.
Yeah.
But before it didn't because I didn't have the correct function underneath. It was just wrong. Yeah. Even though I kind of sing with it. Yeah.
So I think what we're, just to summarize, because we probably need to start heading towards wrapping up, believe it or not, because I've really enjoyed our conversation. We'll have to do this again sometime in the future.
Yeah, I'd love to.
The really, singing at an entry level is easy. Everyone can do it, and you'll never hear me say anything different. I believe everyone can learn to sing, but you do, for many people, you will find yourself hitting a point where the application, I love your word, you coin turn a phrase there, the application can become more challenging the further you work your way into the function.
Yeah.
Is that what I hear you saying? Is that correct?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Because you don't necessarily, and again, I'll come back to this book, is what Pavarotti says in it. And he says, at first, I think quoting him exactly, he says, at first, the sound that comes out, though correct, may not be very beautiful.
Yeah, right.
But do not stray from that. He's like, do not go, just keep on going. It's going to get better.
Yeah.
And believe me, what I went through, it only took me a couple months to switch my whole technique upside down. And I was like, oh my God, look at me now. Like, I'm not worried about anything. And for 25 years, all I did was worry.
I'm just checking our stream because I'm being told that our stream is bad. I'm hoping.
It's getting blurry sometimes. I'm seeing like little stuff. I just stopped there. Yeah. Could be me.
No, we're back. I think we're back. I think we're good. Sorry, everyone, if we were getting problems with the thing there. I think we're good. My apologies for that, Daniel. I got distracted then with seeing the stream falling a bit. Yeah. I'm gun shy with the technical stuff at the moment. So we have to listen to the greats, don't we? As long as the greats can lead us to our own application, I guess.
Yep. I think so.
Because obviously there's no question that whilst Pavarotti was recognised as technically wonderful by many, he was obviously also a naturally intuitive singer. And so I'm always very careful in causing people to turn their attention to. It's important that we listen to those people for inspiration, but equally they're the exception to the rule as well, aren't they? Out of how many billions of people that have been on the planet, most of us aren't Pavarotti, right?
Yeah, I would say the reason I keep going to that, and I don't mean to just go to that, is because at the time of my epiphany, because it literally happened from Spain, when I went to Spain to study with the dude over there, and then I was sitting on the toilet reading the book, and I was like, boom, there it is again. And I was talking to a singer from Montreal who's an opera singer, and I said, hey, man, is it like a fake voice that you use? He goes, yeah. Why, you think it's different? I'm like, you're kidding me. He's like, no, it's not a speaking voice at all. And then going to, like, everyone thinks speech level singing. Every vocal coach out there that wants to dog on Seth Briggs, oh, you can't sing like you speak. Yeah, because that's not at all what he meant. And if you go to page 31 of his first book, he says it. Do not think this is sing like you speak, because he says that in the book. It's not. It's a different thing.
Cool.
It's only the posture of your speaking voice, meaning posture. I'm looking at you normal to hit my high notes. I'm not going or anything like that. I'm looking normal. And that's what he meant. He didn't mean sing like you speak. So that was another thing that hit home. They all hit home at once. It was like 5 things.
Boom.
Yeah. That was it. Yeah.
We need to answer some questions before we finish up, because we've had a good busy discussion. I can see the live chat has been going off while we've been talking. So let's go to the Q&A stinger, and we'll come back and answer some questions, because I've really enjoyed our chat. Finally, after a week, we finally got there. Okay, let's have a look at some questions. So we've got a question from Matt. Now, Matt is one of our regulars. What does it mean when you sight read? Is that different to reading and understanding what you are singing? And if it is different, can a sight reader still say, I can read music? Because he's learning to sight read at the moment.
You're the college guy. Go. Not sight read. I can read notes on a staff, but I can't sight read.
Okay, so to sight read, Matt, simply means if you've got sheet music in front of you, that you can follow along and you know what the notes are and you're able to read the music. To sight sing is to be able to sing along with those notes as you are reading them. To the point where if you were given a starting pitch, this is a good sight reader will be able to be given the starting pitch and then sing those notes along the transcription. And do you need to be able to... the question was, can a sight reader still say I can read music? Well, a sight reader would need to be able to read music to sight read. Can I just say on this point that it is a really handy tool to have the ability to read music, to sight sing, and that's really great. But it's not absolutely necessary, especially in the age of MP3s and YouTube and those sorts of things. Back when I first started, we had none of this, right? we had tapes, we had LPs, and so it was much harder to get a hold of recorded versions of what you needed to learn, and so you had to be able to read it. But now you can get MP3s, and really, if you've got a well-developed ear and you can listen to a melody and recall it quickly, then you'll be able to survive quite well with that. What are your thoughts on that, Daniel?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just a person that would, from the first bunch of gigs I got was, here's 30 songs and you have 5 days to learn them, and you can't use charts on stage, you can't read lyrics on stage, so you just sit with earphones and you're rewinding it. I can remember rewinding my cassette, and then you write the lyrics out. That helps you remember. You do all the things that help you remember things, and that was the way I've learned. And I don't have, and I think because of all that, as I get older, I notice now learning a few tunes is actually harder. My brain's not as quick as it used to be, I guess. But what I do know is that I don't have any. If I hear a melody, I can immediately just sing it. I don't have to worry about what notes is it. I don't know. I just go, boom, and I sing it. Like I don't have to think about it.
Karen, who I know is a friend of yours, Daniel, Karen from Singwise, she's just made a great point in the chat saying sight singing is still important in some contexts, including choirs and a cappella groups. Absolutely, Karen. It does come down to the context. And especially in choirs. If you're doing music theatre, if you're wanting to be a part of a chorus line in a music theatre, then, definitely, it's very context driven. I did get captivated by the fact that we were really talking the context of rock pop groups today, and but yeah, great point, Karen. Miles has asked, I'm 16 and I can sing, so when I'm grown up, can I still sing? Well, at 16, you're well on your way to being grown up, Miles. Also, when I sing, I yawn and it's distracting. Is it because of jaw tension? And I know I watched that on YouTube. We might drop off the last bit. Let's talk about the yawning. Daniel.
I say yawning is a good thing. Like it helps put your larynx in a especially on the breath in, it helps you put your larynx in a good position to sit on it. Like I don't see anything wrong. Like that's a good thing. I mean, if you're yawning while you're singing, I mean, it's kind of strange, I guess. But at the beginning of the phrase, that could set you up for I do that in my mind sometimes. If I'm going right on a real high phrase that's starting super high, I take a nice breath and I actually start it on the yawn, and it puts me on top of the note.
My understanding around yawning, and because I get a lot of students who will yawn in their lesson, and partly it's because we are looking to activate the soft palate and to get more shape at the back of the throat, and that pre-yawn positioning of the soft palate can then lead to a full yawn. Also, my understanding is that yawning is driven by your body's sense that it's lacking in oxygen. I'm happy to be corrected in the chat section or in the comments, but that's my understanding, is that when we sing, because we're moving the air so much more readily, that we may not be getting the oxygen, and so the body will start to try to drag in and hold some air as we do for the yawn. My son is trying to call me and I'm not sure why. I'll have to call him back later. Okay, we're going to go one more question, then we're going to call it. In fact, I'm going to give it to Linda because Linda collates our questions as we go, so I want to give her the final question. She says hi, by the way. What
Hello.
did you mean when you said you blew your voice out? At what point is it blown out? What were the stressors that led to it? How did you recover from those blowouts?
So when I first started doing that Boogie Nights gig, the cool thing about it is being in New York, we put together 3 bands. So there was the A band, the B band, the C band. So if the A band had a gig, but they got booked, if the band got booked for another private, the B band would take over. So a lot of I had 2 other singers I could call if I was dust. And back then I was dust a lot because like I said, I wasn't using my voice properly, though I was able to sing the songs. Some months out of the year, being blown out, meaning I'd get through the night okay, but I wake up in the morning with like no falsetto whatsoever. And so what I would do to correct it, a lot of the times I would wait to call myself. I'd be like, hold on here. And throughout the day, I would like work my falsetto, I would work my exercises, I would work my falsetto, I would work my exercises, and my voice would come back, and I'd be like, I'm okay to go tonight, because we have 4 gigs in a row, 5 gigs in a row, and so it'd be okay, I'm okay to go. But sometimes I would just be like, man, if I push it, I'm going to end up with, back then I didn't know much about nodules and polyps. I would just go, I'm going to end up with nodules, I'm going to end up with nodules. So I better just chill because it's not coming back throughout the day.
Yeah.
It's tired.
Yeah.
And it to me, I used to describe it as it would feel puffy. I can't say it another word. It was, I couldn't get the word, solid and secure. So I would be like, this is not good. And because I was singing, and again, I was not singing songs that were built for me. The band played the tracks, and we would play Last Dance, by Donna Summer, and these songs, and they were either in the key or a half step down because the guitars were tuned E flat. So it was a lot of high singing, and it was the beginning of my singing career, really. Yeah. So I didn't really know what I was doing other than the exercises. I didn't have a teacher at that moment. I had tapes that I just trusted, and I just kind of listened to my body. I said, "Oh, today it's not going to work." And I call, "Hey, John, can you do the gig for me?" And he'd be like, "Yeah, I'm good."
So physically, what's happening, Linda, when the voice gets to that level, actually what's happening is it's retaining fluid in order to try and cushion and protect the vocal folds. So the cells, at a cellular level, the cells are retaining extra fluid to, in a sense, cushion the impact, the shearing that is experienced by the vocal folds as they come together. But when that retained fluid is at a certain level, then you're going to get that sort of cushioning, and so the voice just can't extend to going to falsetto because the vocal folds can't elongate and thin out enough to access those higher registers. And
and I got to add something. I want to add something because I think this is huge.
Cool.
This is important. I see it so much. And I believe in it. When that used to happen, I would go to an ENT and I would have him look at my chords, and they would look at my chords and they go, "Oh, you're not bad. Everything looks okay. You're a little red and swollen. You probably got acid reflux." So for 15 years, I was taking Prilosec every day or any of those purple pills every day, thinking that's what I had, because I would always go back. Yeah, it looks a little red and swollen. You probably got a little. Until I really had acid reflux one time, and I have it on tape. I recorded myself speaking, and I woke up with burning in my throat, then I went to the doctor in Nazari, and he was like, "Dude, it's fried. It's like, and you could see the purple. It was horrible."
Yeah,
that's a whole different thing.
Yeah,
what I was experiencing was just bad technique, singing night after night after night after night after night. End of the week, a little tired. Sometimes it would heal fine. I don't know what those things that make it heal fine are, but sometimes your voice just humidity can heal it beautifully. Those things, all those things help. But for years I took up. Now I haven't taken a Prilosec in years.
Yeah, great.
So that reared its ugly head. So because they love to prescribe that.
I think it's finding, and these days I think it's a matter of finding ENTs that are actually, I actually now always recommend people seek out laryngologists as opposed to merely ENTs. Laryngology is a specialty, a subspecialty of otolaryngology, ENTs, and I highly recommend, if you can, to seek out a laryngologist who will be able to determine the difference typically between reflux and simply, you know, a lack of or function that is maybe leading to vocal fold swelling.
Sometimes because LA's got great, great doctors that just specialize in singers. But a lot of them would still say, "Oh,
is that right?"
Until it really was acid reflux, and then I was like,
"Hang on a second."
It's a whole different animal. A whole different animal. You can't sing.
I really enjoyed our conversation today, and I certainly hope we can do it again sometime in the future. I'll get you to say goodbye to everyone, and if I can get you to stick around until after the end. Thank you for answering the questions. There you go, everyone. Daniel Formica. Or did he say Formica? Formica, tomato. It has been so good to have him on the channel. I hope you've enjoyed the live hangout today. If this is the first time you've ever watched one of the live hangouts, welcome. I hope you've enjoyed the chat. We do these live hangouts every Monday, 2 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. You can watch us here on YouTube or on Facebook. Hopefully it's worked on Facebook. And of course, next week we've got another guest speaker. So look out for the notifications for that. I think she's going to be talking about the psychology of singing, and she has got quite the story to tell. And she's also the mother of a very well-known, to many, a very well-known YouTuber. I will leave you in suspense. I won't tell you anymore. But for now, I hope to see you in the next Voice Essentials video. I'll see you again soon. My name's Dr. Dan. Sing well.